Lex Reads. So in today's video, I'm actually going to be reading The Street by Ann Petry. Now, I was inspired to read this book. Well, first, it's on my TBR. As you guys know, I follow my TBR. And I have about 3 more books to read before the year is over, and I'll show you guys those later. Then, yesterday, so I decided, I said, I'm going to read it. Then I started watching an interview with Tayari Jones. Tayari Jones, she wrote The American Marriage, fantastic author. But in the new edition, the re-edition, she is doing the introduction. I don't have that edition, which I think I'm probably will get. But in that interview, which I'll link down below, she is talking about, Ann Petry's life and, just the book in general. And one thing she said that people compared the book to Native Son by Richard Wright. And Lord, if you have read that, Bigger Thomas, it was a lot. And I'm like, oh Lord. Which I know a little bit of the synopsis of The Street. I know it's about a young boy that gets accused of something, I think. And I know his mom is a domestic, and I know it's in the 1940s. So that's already, girl, a lot. But Ann Petry, she really began in the Harlem Renaissance, and you guys know that is my stuff right there. So I have read some short stories and things like that from her and really love her writing. So I'm not afraid of the writing. I know the writing's going to be bomb. It's just the subject matter is going to be kind of hard. Because when she said that about Native Son, I'm like, oh Lord. But I am really excited to read it. And then also too, I know that Ann Petry, she was the first Black woman to sell 1 million copies, which that is crazy. So yeah, again, excited, a little bit hesitant, but I'm able to get through books like that. I mean, it's on my TBR, so I have to read it. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be focusing on. But yeah, I'm just rambling on. I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. All right, y'all, so I am home from work, but I finally got my H&M package. This is from Cyber Monday. I literally just got it. The crazy thing about me is I don't like dresses. I don't like skirts, but I like heels and nails and makeup and hair. Very odd. But I do want to start buying some more dresses. Because I honestly I can't tell the last time I wore a dress to work. Now, excuse me, obviously I wear dresses to church because I'm not wearing no pants, but that's like the only time. But I do want to start wearing dresses to work. So I only got 2 dresses. I love this color. Let's see, and it's long sleeve. I think this might be a little bit too sexy for church, girl. Let's see. This is a long sleeve, like turtleneck, kind of like this. It's a long sleeve. This is I think I could kind of pull this off at church. No split. Okay, yeah, this doesn't have a split. I have to try it on because if it's real tight, I don't feel comfortable going in the sanctuary with that on. But and then I got this red one. I like ribbed because I noticed with rib material, it looks expensive. And also too, I have so much stuff that is ribbed and I've had for years. Like this ribbed turtleneck I got from Forever 21 back when they actually, girl, their basics was good. Now it's like, I'm too old to shop at Forever 21. I can't find nothing. But this, I got this, oh Lord, like 6-7 years ago. And it still looks really nice. But I got this. I'm going to try these on. This is cute. Hopefully it's not too breasty. Because that's another thing too. I don't like my breasts and stuff to be out, girl. Like cleavage. That don't do nothing for me. I'm gonna have to try this on because these pieces looking real basic, okay? But when you style them and with the hair and makeup, it's gonna look real cute. Here is the orange. Is this orange? Orange or red? I don't know. I think I like it. I like the length. I don't know. it's looking a little bit just too basic. It's giving me like it's giving me, ooh, what, like dressing gown. It's giving me a dress that I just lounge around in the house in. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I think maybe it was a little bit tighter. Girl, I gotta have my Spanx and stuff on, my waist shaper. But I like it. I gotta play around with this with maybe some jewelry, and maybe if I have my hair up. I gotta figure it out. Now see, I like this one. I like the way I like this. Okay. I think because it's like right here, it goes down. I might wear this tomorrow, girl, because I gotta be to work early. We got some clients coming in tomorrow. You know what? I might wear this. I have these too. I bought these. Ooh, girl, I think last Black Friday. Last year. I got them from Express. At one point I had a little obsession with Express. I wonder how this would look. Wait. Because one thing, I think the reason why I haven't worn these yet, it was kind of hard to put on. You know what? I think I can get away with this. Let me see. Oh yeah, I kind of like this. Because, you know, I don't want like this part to show. And the one thing I like about this heel, it's small. Like it's a little heel. I don't know if I feel comfortable wearing it to church. Because it's so, you know, girl, I don't know what the mothers would say about this, girl. Look, I can't help that I got thighs and hips for days, but okay guys, it's the morning time. I actually have to get ready to go to work, but I was reading a little bit of The Street by Ann Petry. By the way, this is my edition, and I actually like it. It has a blurb by Gloria Naylor. Gloria Naylor wrote The Winter Brewster's Place, and I think this edition came out in, let me see, 1974, and this book was published in 1946. But the main character, Lottie Johnson, she is a domestic, like I stated before. She has a young son, Bud, and she has a husband. And in order for them to save, you know, their house and pay their mortgage, she starts working for a family, the Chandlers, and she actually has to like live there, right? So at first her husband's like, you know, his pride is getting to him, but he cannot find a job to save his life. Every time he tries to go out, it's just, and his thing is like, I just want a job. Like, why can't you guys hire me? She goes and puts an ad in, and she gets a job, basically. But it's just the Chandler's girl. So, Lottie's respectable. She does what she has to do, you know, and wonderful cook, wonderful worker, all of that, right? But Mrs. Chandler, like, she has, you know, obviously dinner parties and stuff like that, and she has her, you know, her friends, and Lottie's real good looking. Lottie is a real cute girl, okay? And they know that. And they make remarks about the way that she's looking, and then, you know, Mr. Chandler and Mrs. Chandler, they don't pay attention. They don't even pay attention to each other. They really don't even want each other. And then Mrs. Chandler don't pay attention to her little baby, her little boy, Henry, or anything. But there was a particular scene that got me. It says, whenever she entered a room where they were, they stared at her with a queer look. Sometimes she caught their conversation about her. Sure, she's a wonderful cook, but I wouldn't have any good-looking colored wench in my house. Not with John. You know, they always making passes at men, especially white men. And then, now I wonder. And then this part got me. She said, They didn't know she had a big, handsome husband of her own, that she didn't want any of their thin, unhappy husbands. But she wondered why they all had the idea that colored women were whores. And then this one part, okay, it says, after she had been there a year and a half, she discovered too that Mrs. Chandler paid a lot more attention to another woman's husband than she did her own. After a dinner party, Mrs. Chandler would walk through the garden with someone else's husband, showing him the river view, talking to him with an animation she never showed when talking to Mr. Chandler. And Lottie observed from the kitchen window, leaning much closer to him. And then it says, once when Lottie went into the living room, Mrs. Chandler was sitting on the window seat with one of the dinner guests, and his arms were tight around her, and he was kissing her. Mr. Chandler came right in behind Lottie so that he saw the same thing. The expression on his face didn't change, only his lips went into a straight, thin line. So it looked like they got a little arrangement, okay? You know, he's a successful rich man, and then you have this, you know, woman, this wife, where it's kind of like, you know, we look good together on the outside, and you know, that's it. He can take her to his events, and you know, she's the wife and all that. So they got a little arrangement. But again, his mother comes into town, and it's the same thing. She says, "Wonder if you're being wise, dear. This girl is unusually attractive, and men are weak. Besides, she's colored, and you know how they are." And then this line, I keep on saying this line, gives you a girl. She said, so her grandmother tells her, you know, don't trust no white man. Like, they just want to sleep with you, and that's it. And you know, in them days, they had to, you know, put kind of fear in a lot of those young black girls, because you did have some men, them white men, girl, they would just take advantage of the pretty black girls. So she says, you might have a distrust and a dislike of white men far deeper than the distrust these white women have of you. This book, and I always say with the Harlem Renaissance, the reason why I liked it is because the writing is so relevant. You feel like you have a book, you're reading a book today. And although this is not set in the 1930s, it's not set in, you know, in the Harlem Renaissance, it's set in the 1940s. It still has that same feeling that I get when I'm reading a book from that time. I'm reading this and I'm like, this is written in 1946. It's just so relevant, and honestly is, because, you know, you do have some women that think like that. That, you know, black women, they just put out. And her thing is, girl, no, I got a handsome big husband at home. I don't want none of you, like she said, you know, thin, unhappy husbands. They ain't gonna do nothing for me, okay? But I love that. Like I said earlier, I know the subject matter of this book is going to be hard, but this writing is unbelievable. It is unbelievable, girl. And then I think also another thing that intimidates them about Lottie, the fact that she is unusually attractive. She's smart. She actually finished high school, and you know, in those days and times, a lot of the kids, you know, and they couldn't finish school. They would have to work with, you know, their moms, and you know, but her grandparents were like, you have to finish high school, and they were so impressed with the fact that she can read and write and she's articulate. So that's like another thing. And then the way that she carries herself, she, you know, does her job, and that's it. But so far, I am loving this, and I'm only on page 47, and I'm already tabbing it. Also, too, girl, I'm getting the itch to highlight, and y'all know if I highlight a book, that means I really like it. Also, if I highlight a book, that means I got to get 2 copies, and I'm probably gonna have to get another copy. I did state that I wanted to get the newest edition with a foreword by Tayari Jones, or introduction by Tayari Jones. So I'm actually going to look at that cover. I haven't looked at it. I want to see how it looks, because I really do like this cover. I remember I got this from a library sale. library stars are my jam, okay? And I actually remember picking this up like, oh my goodness, it's Ann Petry, I want to read it. So yeah, and I love this cover. Hi, can I get a venti matcha latte with light ice, and can you add vanilla to it?
I'm sorry, but currently we're out of matcha.
You are?
I'm so sorry.
Can I try the ice sugar cookie almond milk latte, but can I get a tall?
Yeah, of course. Will that be all for today?
Yeah, that's it.
Alright, that's going to be 557.
Thank you. I didn't want that. But this line is so long. Ooh, I wonder how that's gonna taste. Ice sugar cookie almond milk latte. Oh girl, I don't think I wanted that. I might have to go to another Starbucks. Oh, I'm disappointed. You know, you be having your mind set on something. And my mind was set on a matcha latte. And I was gonna get a venti guy. I always get grande, but I was gonna get a venti because last week I got a tall, being cheap, and I was like 1 or 2 swallows, okay? But I got a tall for this one because I don't know how that's gonna taste. Girl, like how y'all out of matcha? This not hitting. Ice sugar cookie almond, no, this not. Then they got the nerve to put some little beads in it. Girl, no. No. That was a waste of $6. Okay, real quick, I'm about to head to the gym, but y'all, I just wanted to give a little update. So I'm only on page 90. Look how much I have already tabbed. This book is so good. Okay. So I was telling you guys that, and actually her name is not Lottie, it's Ludi. Is it Ludi? Yeah, Ludi Johnson. I keep on saying Lottie. It's Ludi Johnson. So Ludi has been working with the Chandlers now for 2 years, right? Yeah, for 2 years. The White family. And girl, on Christmas Day, the brother comes and does something unbelievable. But I don't want to, give it away. Because if you haven't read it, it's Lord. But again, but Ludi has a husband that's back in Jamaica, New York, and she's clearly sending her money to him so he can, continue to pay the mortgage because he can't find no job. So she gets a letter from him, and she knows it's important because Pops, he don't write. He writes and says, dear Ludi, you better come home. Jim's carrying on with another woman, Pop. So she comes home. She forgot that Jim wasn't expecting her as she hurried to the little frame house in Jamaica, not thinking about anything except the need to get there quickly before every familiar thing she knew had been destroyed. Still hurrying, she opens the front door and walked into her own house to find there was another woman living there with Jim. A slender, dark brown girl whose eyes shifted crazily when she saw her. The girl was cooking supper and Jim was sitting at the kitchen table watching her. If he hadn't held her arm, she would have killed the other girl. Even now she could feel a rage raise inside her at the very thought. Then there she had been sending practically all her wages month after month, keeping only a little for herself, skimming on her visits because of the cab fare and because she was trying to save enough money to form a backlog for them when she quit her job. Month after month, and that black had been eating the food she brought, sleeping in her bed, making love to Jim. Girl. And then he proceeds to start laughing at her. So then the little girl, she leave because she's scared to death because old girl about to get her together, okay? And then he go say, what did you expect? He asked. Maybe you can only go day after day with not doing anything but just cook meals for yourself and a kid. With just enough money to be able to eat and have a roof over your head. But I can't. I don't intend to. You don't even have a job. So what is you talking about? Like, girl. But this got me. I said, girl, only a black woman would do this. She says, so she called a moving man and had him take all of the furniture that was hers, everything that belonged to her, the bed set, the radio, the rug, the battered studio couch, an easy chair, and Bud, what is the baby? She wasn't going to leave him behind for Jim to abuse, ignore. But girl, so Jim trifling is don't know what, so they break up or whatever. And of course, she stops working for Mrs. Chandler. But Mrs. Chandler had the nerve to say, write a letter talking about, Lottie dear, we haven't had a decent thing to eat since you left, and little Henry misses you so much he's almost sick. She didn't answer it. She had more problems than Mrs. Chandler and little Henry had. But like, girl, are you serious? But Ludi, like, you know what? I'm not scrubbing no kitchen walls. I'm not cooking for no white people. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna start taking night classes so I can be able to type and, you know, do shorthand, type, do all of that, record keeping. And that's what she does. And it's a struggle, but she makes do. But now her problem is, you know, they have the apartment and they're able to get, you know, by, still struggling, but she's able to at least pay for it and have food on the table. But Bud is about, what, 7 or 8 years old, and the neighborhood that they live in is not good. I mean, the building, you have drifters, Mrs. Hedges is a prostitute, and Nosy is, girl, nobody's business. And she's concerned, like, you know, my baby out here, and, you know, I don't know what he doing, and it's just a lot going on. So that's like her main concern right now. Like, you know, what am I gonna do? So yeah, that's where I am right now. But that scene got me, like I keep on saying, it's so modern. I was up here cracking up when I was reading it last night. I'm like, Jim, no, come on, bruh. Seriously, and then got the nerve. Oh, what do you expect? Boy, you better go up and get you a job. But I'm glad she left because clearly she knew it wasn't going to work. I mean, and also, too, she had been working at the challenge for 2 years. So, you know, he probably had that woman for a while. But I am going to get another copy of this. I actually saw it on Amazon. I'm probably going to buy it from Amazon because it's only like $8 or something like that. And I'm going to get the edition with Tayari Jones. Because I'm gonna have to highlight. It's some stuff in here that I have to highlight. So let me get ready to get out of here. I gotta go to the gym. All right, I just got back from the beauty supply store. I would have taken y'all in there, but y'all know how they be at the beauty supply store. They be acting like you be stealing and stuff. It's like, girl, I'm just trying to get my products and go. But I got 3 of the roller balls, and then I got another one of my bonnets. I'm obsessed with this bonnet. They have so many like little fake designer ones. I like this Fendi one because and I've had my Fendi bonnet for like 2 years, and the elastic now is just you know, being is just now getting loose. So I got another one because I just love this bonnet. It was $10. And like they have so many different, they have like a Chanel one, what else? They had like a Louis Vuitton one, they had a black one, which I have, and then they had a brown one. If they had one that was like, the base of it was black, and then the symbols were like the multicolor, I would have gotten that, but they didn't have it. So I was like, you know what, I like the Fendi one so much, I'm gonna get another one of these, because girl, gotta have my bonnet, and then I got another one of these. I have to throw my this edge brush. I actually had to throw mine away recently because it just was like stiff, but this is like legit. So you get 2 of them. Okay. I like this. And the 3 roller balls I got 2 of the same. Okay. So these 2 I'm going to put in my sister's stocking. This one is Dolce & Gabbana. And I actually have the real Dolce & Gabbana. And it smells exactly like it. Dolce & Gabbana Blue, I believe. This smells exactly like it. And then this one, it's called Black Woman. And it smells just like a black woman. Meaning, it smells clean. This literally smells like, this one's mine. Oh, what this smell like? Smells like Dove soap. This smell like soap. Like, it gives you, I just got out the shower. Oh, I like this. Oh, yeah. I'm so glad I got 2 of these. So, that is for my sister. And then this one is mine. Y'all know I live for rollerballs. Oh, I can't wait to take a shower and put this on. Oh, this smell good. Girl, I should have got 2 more of these. These were what, $2.99? I'm gonna have to go back and get another one of these because, girl, that smell good. So yeah, that's all I got from the beauty supply store. I haven't eaten all day and it's like 2 o'clock. So I'm just gonna have like some breakfast food, like some eggs and some sausage. And I gotta get back to my reading. Yeah. So I'm sitting here reading this. I actually was supposed to be taking off my makeup and like taking his hair out, but I got distracted because this is just so good. Like I said before, it's that modern aspect, and I'm like, Lord, some of the stuff that's like going on in here, I keep on forgetting that it is the 1940s until some things, you know, like some sayings or whatever, or just ways of life, come across or whatever. But it's just so modern. But so I'm at the part where Ludi just met what's his name, Boot Smith, which, girl, Boot Smith gives me he give me pimp vibes. He give me, girl, dealer vibes. So she just met him, but I don't trust him. I don't trust as far as I can throw him. So right now I'm like, oh, I'm leery. Mrs. Hedges, Lord. I do like Mrs. Hedges. Mrs. Hedges, she is the neighbor that's always peeping. She's one of those neighbors where she knows who comes, goes, all of that. But she's a madam, so she runs, a little house. But is it Jones? Jones gives me John's scary because the way he fantasizes about Ludi and he barely knows her, and the way that he treats what's that lady's name? Is it Min? Which is like, her main thing is, look, I got this free rent, I don't want to mess that up. So as much as I can kind of tame him for being angry, or her thing is, her main thing is, I cannot pay no rent, so Mrs. Hedges tells her, well, you can go to like a little basically like a little medium, kind of tame him, and so she can stay in that house as long as she can. But I don't trust her. I do feel sorry for her, but I'm like, I don't know. But Jones, yeah, like the way that he goes into Ludi's like apartment, and a little boy Bud, he just so innocent, he don't know. But when he goes in Ludi's apartment, and he is going through her closet and like, looking at like her just like dresses and clothing. It's, oh girl, it is really weird, and talking about, oh, I gotta figure out how to get that lipstick of hers. He give me Jack the Ripper vibes. He gives me, oh Lord, he's stealth. He's, you don't know if he's coming or going. And then the fact that he's attaching himself to the little boy, to our little boy, it's just so scary. Because he pops off, and with him, like I said, you don't know if he coming or going, and he pop off at any minute. He be angry at one minute, happy at one minute. I'm like, every time when he is in Bud's presence, I'm like, girl, my heart just sinks. And I'm like, well, what are you doing, this little innocent boy? And like I said, Bud don't know. He honest, I mean, the 8-year-old child, he don't know. But this one particular scene that I was just cracking up in, Ludi's father, Pops, he is just, he's so fast, you know what I mean? He's the type of man where he sells, he can't find a job, so he sells like bootleg liquor, and that's illegal, you can't do any of that. But he ends up like getting kicked out of his house, and he needs a place to stay, and she like, that's my dad, I'm gonna let him stay with us. But every night he's been telling, this is when she's with Jim, telling Jim and Ludi, like, you should go up to Harlem, you guys are young, go to the little bar, have a good time. And like, he sponsors it, right? Because he always, for someone that don't have no job, he always got a little pocket change, so he always handed them dollars. But the reason why he's doing that, for a reason, and she finds out, oh, that's what's happening. Let me read it to you. So like I said, he's a bootlegger. There's so much noise over here nights and my husband and me can't sleep, she said abruptly. Noise? Ludi stared at her, not certain that she had heard correctly. What kind of noise? I don't know, she said, but it's got to stop. Sounds like wild parties to me. Last night it kept up until all hours of the night, and my husband say if something ain't done about it, he gonna complain. I'm sorry, I see that it doesn't happen anymore. She said it quickly because she knew what was happening. Pops had been having parties on the nights they went to Harlem. And then she confronts him, and okay, it says parties, he said innocently, his forehead wrinkled as though he was trying to figure out what she was talking about. I ain't had no parties. Some of my friends come out a couple times, but I ain't had no parties. His voice sounded hurt. You must have made a lot of noise, she said, ignoring his denial of having any parties. We got to be careful. The neighbors might complain to the state people. So she's worried because in order for them to keep their mortgage and things, and this is before she starts working with Mrs. Chandler, in order for them to keep their mortgage, they end up like basically becoming like foster parents, and they do it for the money. You get government funding, you get government money. And so, you can't have no parties and all that stuff, because they go take the kids away. And they eventually do, because girl, Pops, when they get home one day, he all sloppy drunk, and the police come and all that. And one thing I like about Ludi, she's soft, at the same time she don't play at all, because even though her dad was in the wrong and stuff like that, but Jim talking all crazy, and she like, don't talk about my daddy, like he ain't got nowhere else to stay, it is what it is. And they were having a fight or whatever, and he was getting all angry and stuff, and he keeps on throwing in her face like, he likes to go out, obviously, to Harlem to get away, to drink and do all of that. And every time she's like, oh, I don't want to go, he'd be like, oh, well, if I had some money, or if I was like one of these men in Harlem, you would be with me, so like his pride gets in the way, but he know what he doing, and like she feels bad about it. Okay, it says he slapped her across the face. She was out of the bed in a flash. She picked up a chair, the one chair in the bedroom, and she aimed it at him, and she aimed it at his head as she shouted, you come near me and so help me, I'll kill you. She don't play. She does not play. Okay, and in this section she's just reflecting back on what happened, when she was married and living with Jim and her dad and stuff like that. And they end up basically separating or whatever, and Jim, her pops, tells her like, oh, it looked like he left town or whatever, because they haven't seen each other in years. But yeah, but that part was so funny with Pops, like, I ain't had no loud parties, I don't know what you talking about. And she like, come on, Dad, like, I know what you're doing. And I was thinking too, I was looking up some of her other books, which I will be getting, but her book Country Place, a new cover is coming out next year. and I know I'm gonna get it, and I am gonna get that edition I keep on showing you guys because I really like that cover. But I'm basically gonna get all her books. That's all there is to it, because this writing is just fantastic. And like I said, I'm gonna have to get a second copy of this anyway, because I will be highlighting this, because there is some gems in this book. I love everything about it. Like I am worried, because Lord, Boots is making me nervous. Boots Smith or whatever, he making me nervous, because he's telling Ludi, well, you know, you have a really good singing voice, so you can maybe come down and like sing with us. I'm like, oh girl, not her going to the juke joint. Like, but she's like, look, you know, this nickel and diamond, me just barely making ends meet, you know, she just, whew, it's a lot, which I do understand. And she has, it's not like she's just thinking about herself. She has an 8-year-old boy that she has to take care of. So yeah, but this, I'm beyond thrilled about this. So I am heading to the gym. I feel like I say that all the time when I'm picking up you guys, like, oh, I went to the gym. But look, I have been consistent since October 1st. It is a routine now. But after I head to the gym, I actually want to go to Macys, because yesterday when I was strolling on Instagram, girl, I did not know that they have a Whitney Houston collection from MAC. So I was looking at it. I know I want to get the cinnamon lip glass, a lipstick. I think it's like a nude lipstick, and then she has a pretty like a pinkish blush, and then I think what is it, a mineral skin finish or something like that. I don't know if I'm gonna get all of it. I know that I'm gonna get it. I want to get that lip gloss and possibly that lipstick, because you know, girl, MAC stuff, it's like $23 a pop, okay, and then blush is like 30 something. But girl, I'm like, it's Whitney Houston, I have to get it. And then not only, I mean, I'm gonna clearly use it, so I'm also gonna ask like how long the collection is going to be available, because if that's the case, I'm gonna get, look, piece by piece, okay. But yeah, when I saw that, I was super excited, because y'all know how much I love Nippy. So this is the collection. I think I'm gonna get this, and then this cream sheen, and probably come back for this, and then this, which is really pretty.
I never knew there was a love like this before. Never had someone to show me a love like this before. Now that we have come to be a brand new life, I can see. Never thought you'd be a special part of me. No, baby.
So I just finished The Street by Ann Petry. It's literally like 2:30 in the morning. This was not what I expected, but it was in a good way. It's not what I expected, because the way that Ann Petry wrapped up this book, like, I understood why Ludi did what she did, but at the same time it's like, oh, poor Bud. But it was kind of like there was no good to come. There was not going to be a good outcome. Both were just going to be toe up. And Ludi realized that, like, there's nothing I can do for him, you know, and I hope that when he grows up one day, he'll know what I mean and all of that. So it is kind of like an open ending, but it's an open ending that I could appreciate. I'm being real around the bush because I don't want to just give it all away. But this book is very realistic, and I kept on saying it's so modern. I mean, it reads so contemporary that when I was reading this, I kept forgetting that this was set in the 1940s, because when it comes to little black boys and, young black mothers, there's no change, with the system and just everything that is against them. And Ludi just just working so hard, constantly working, but couldn't just save, because there was no money that she could save. You know what I mean? It's like the little money that she could save, that wouldn't go do nothing. And she just realized that. And then the street that she lived on, which is horrible. And I love the fact that the street was actually like another character, the way that she described it, just beyond detailed. I would say the character that was, well, all these characters were interesting, but Mrs. Hedges, okay, at first I was feeling sorry for her, but then towards the end I said, oh, you knew what you was doing. You was working your set, okay? You, Gento and Boot Smith, they was working their set, okay? And Jones, oh girl, that Jones is the type of man where he's actually I mean, he off, okay? He really is off, but he's that scary off where you can't be with him alone. You can't even be with him with a crowd. He was so off, okay? And what he did to that boy, oh, and I wish that Ludi knew why Bud did what he did. And it was because of that crazy man, okay, girl. But I go back to Mrs. Hedges. She grew up in the South of Georgia, and this is a woman that she is like gargantuan, okay? And the particular scene about her, she says that, she came to New York to be inconspicuous because there's no way that you can miss her in that small town in Georgia. This is a big, tall woman, tall, real black, real big. So that's the way that she looked. But there was I don't want to give it away. So she looks like that. Y'all got that in y'all mind, okay? But something happens to her when she comes to New York, and you understand why she is the way she is and why she lives the life that she lives. I just want to read this particular scene. Before she left the hospital, she decided that she would have to have someone living with her to do her shopping, to run errands for her. So the first few days in the new apartment, she sat at the window seeking a likely looking girl. One girl passed by several times, a thin young thing who never lifted her eyes from the sidewalk. Come here, dearie, she called to her. The girl lifted her head. Where you live? Down the street, she pointed towards 8th Avenue. You got a job? No, the girl looked at Mrs. Hedges. I had one, but my husband left me. I couldn't seem to keep my mind on what I was doing after that, so the lady fired me about 2 weeks ago. Okay, that's all I'm gonna leave y'all, because I want you guys to read this book and I want you to understand Mrs. Hedges. Girl. I mean, Mrs. Hedges and Jones, they could have, and Gento, they could literally have a book like on their own. You know what I mean? This book was fantastic. It very realistic. Yeah, that's all I can say. Now let's get into the author. Ann Petry, this was her first novel. Came out in 1946. It sold more than 1.5 million copies in print. So this is a big deal. This lady broke records. But you don't hear about her a lot. When you think of Black literature, she's not on all the list, And that was one reason why I wanted to read this. And then knowing that she was from the Harlem Renaissance, she started from the Harlem Renaissance, that intrigued me, because y'all know that's my stuff. But also, you know, when I read new authors, I like to also know about, you know, their lives and how they became the writer, and, you know, about the book and all that. So, you know, of course, I have to do like a little background check. What inspired her to write this story is she worked at an after school program in Harlem. It was during the time where she experienced and understood what the majority of Black population of the United States have to go through in their everyday life. Traveling the Harlem streets, living for the first time among large numbers of poor Black people, seeing neglected children up and close, Petry's early years in New York made impressions on her and led her to put her expressions on paper. So Ann Petry actually grew up kind of privileged. Her parents, they were pharmacists. Both of them were pharmacists. And she went to a school that she basically was like the only Black person that graduated. So she came from, like I said, a well-established, educated family. And she had parents that really took pride in education when it came to her and her sister. So she was really shielded when it came to like poverty and like Black, the way some Blacks live. She didn't know that because she didn't grow up like that. So that was like a real, you know, eye-opener for her. Like, people live like this, like these women and children, they have to deal with, you know, such things as, you know, living on a street full of garbage and living in a building that has, you know, prostitution and you know, drugs and gambling and all that, because again, like I said, she was not used to that, the way that she grew up. So the fact that she literally was inspired to write this book after working, you know, and seeing all of that, it just amazes me. So this is my first book I read by her. It will not be my last. I actually have an anthology where it has a short story that I am going to read of hers. And then I'm also going to get the Narrows by her. I also ordered the new edition of The Street, because it has a like I stated, it has an introduction from Terry Jones. I highlighted and tabbed this book so much that, of course, you already know I need to have another copy. So yeah, guys, again, I encourage you to read this book. I encourage you to learn more about Ann Petry. Just a fantastic author, fantastic, you know, woman. And that's all. I know in the future I will probably do another reading vlog of hers, because I want to see, you know, this is a book that she's known for. So I want to really dive into her other novels and just see if there is any similarities or any changes and things like that. Because I already know that this woman can write. This story was beyond incredible. The way she crafted this is like no other. Her way of her details, like the way she describes things, it's unbelievable. And also too, I stated in the beginning of the video how they compared this to Native Son by Richard Wright. I can see the similarities, because if you have read that, there's also no hope for Bigger Thomas. It's kind of like there's no good to come out. And there was no good to come out of this situation with Bud and Ludi. But my heart just goes out to Bud. Oh, Lord. The way she wrote him, he was just so sweet. So, yeah. But, yeah, guys, that's all I have for you. And I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.